just to sit there and listen to Glenn talk about the future, to talk about the fact that our stock is paying a dividend. I remember when we joined, it was a penny stock, and we were almost embarrassed of it. Everyone's like, oh, it's risky, it's bad, it's this, that. And then we went on the NASDAQ, and then we became a stock that produces income quarterly. Is that not the coolest thing? Let's hear it for Glenn and what he's done. It was funny. I was in the back, and they're like, he's done. I flew through a catacomb. You don't even know what I did. I ran over 7 people. All right. It's like bowling ball. Fred Flintstone comes through the back catacombs. They asked me if there was a movie star to play you, who would it be? I said Fred Flintstone. Anyways, is that not about right? So our next speaker is absolutely dynamic, powerful. She has blazed her own trail. She doesn't play by the rules. She worked for an independent, was kind of isolated, and just went out and made it happen. She got all of her business from YouTube. She sponsored, I think, 100 people from YouTube. She's never had to call anybody. I was out there doing open houses. I called everybody I could think of. I just can't even relate to what she's doing. Instead of YouTube, I did yellownotepad.com, which is, don't write that down. Remember, I came from the world of facsimiles, okay, and maps where we would print the map on the copier, then take a yellow highlighter and highlight never mind. That's like legit actually happened. Glenn was 14. But Chauncey is a new era of agent. She's absolutely owning the men. Let's hear it for the women in the house. Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, you tough guys, you need to bootstrap it. Help me welcome Chauncey Pham to the stage, everybody. Woo!
Do y'all believe the hype yet? Because I believe the hype. Are y'all buying into the hype? So first off, I'm really, really humbled to be able to share the stage with some of our industry leaders. It's amazing. So thanks for blazing this trail for me. But I'm going to talk to you guys, obviously, about attraction. But I want to bring it to you 2 different ways. So people and practical. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is who you are in someone's story. So as you're presenting this opportunity to people, understanding what perspective you need to be coming from. And then I also want to follow that up with a couple of quick tips, some things that you guys can actually implement into your business tomorrow and get going to change your organization. So first, let me just introduce myself. So my name is Chauncey Pham. I am a realtor here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. My background is in hardcore, one-call close type sales. I was in the merchant services industry for about 6 or 7 years. I'm talking under the desk, hardcore one-call closes. Moved from that into marketing. And what was really cool was when I got into real estate, the skill sets that I learned from those 2 careers were highly transferable. And so my first 2 years in the business did really well. It was natural for me. It wasn't hard. But I thought, silly me, that the natural progression for agents that did well was to own your own brokerage. Nobody told me that the root word of brokerage was broke. That's literally what I was for the 1.5 years or so that I owned my own brokerage. And so I figured, girl, you got to do something different. This is not working. So at that point, I started seeking out some alternative methods, some different ways to do business, and I found EXP. So I have been at EXP since September of 2019. As of today, my 150th agent went active. I have 50 FLQAs and a total group size of 310. So gonna talk to you guys, just give you some key takeaways about how I did that, how I attracted people by trying to be someone in everyone's story. And then want to give you guys just some practical things to take away with how to build out your revenue share store, building your group through empowering your agents and then retaining those agents by building out a culture in a community. So first, who are you in someone's story? So I tend to, when I have talks or anytime I teach a class, I get my musings and my inspiration from things that happen in everyday life. And my musings for this particular chat came from Grey's Anatomy. So ladies, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but about once a year, I decide to replay a series. So This Is Us or Grey's Anatomy, something's gonna make me cry, okay? So I decided to start watching Grey's Anatomy back in June. And an episode came up, and you guys may be familiar with this episode, where 2 ambulances were driving into the hospital. One of those ambulances was driven by a woman, an ENT, and she had a seizure. So boom, she hits the other ambulance, and it flips over. And when it flipped over, something in the back of the ambulance actually impaled the driver of that flipped over ambulance. And so everyone's panicking and freaking out. And upside down in this ambulance is the driver and his best friend, who is the passenger. And they're trying to keep each other awake and aware. And it's a very dramatic scene. And so Meredith, the main character of the show, is tasked with going inside of the hospital to get his wife, the ambulance driver who was impaled. Because obviously when they removed this item, he would bleed out and he would die. So Meredith goes inside, she gets the lady, and everyone's standing around watching this very dramatic scene. The lady's down on the ground, talking to her husband, saying his final last words. I'm crying at this point. The show is doing what it's supposed to do. And Meredith kind of whispers something under her breath. And this is where I kind of got this idea. But she says, this is who I am in her story. This is who I am in her story. And so the doctor standing next to her is like, well, what do you mean? And she says, I've been working in this hospital for years. I've probably worked 200 to 300 feet away from this woman, and I've never said a word to her until today, when I delivered the worst news of her life. And every time she hears my voice, and every time she sees my face, and anytime she hears my name, this is who I am in her story. So now I'm ugly crying, okay? And I'm ugly crying because I'm like, oh my God, who am I in someone's story? But legit, that's where this whole idea came from. So then I got to thinking. So at that time, I didn't have 150 FLAs. I had about 140. And so I'm like, 140 people have joined me because they think that I have the solution to a perceived problem that they have. So who am I in their story? Like that's ultimately what I'm doing this for, so that I can be someone, something of value in everyone's story that crosses my path. So then it got me to thinking about how I landed at EXP. And I remembered the first person that introduced me to EXP. I remembered the second person that introduced me to EXP. I remember the third person that introduced me to EXP. And a common thread that all of them had was that they introduced the opportunity to me and talked about the things that they thought was important about the opportunity instead of what I needed. Okay? And I want you guys to think about that. I can remember wanting to be in a certain place in my business, but they never asked me the question about where I wanted to be. They never asked me about the rock that was in my shoe in that very moment, and instead just continued to talk to me about things that really didn't matter to me in that moment. And then I remember their reactions when I told them I wasn't going to partner with them at EXP. Those weren't good either. And forever, guys, that's who they're going to be in my story. When I see them, when I hear their voice, when I see them on social media, that's who they're going to be in my story. And then I stand here on this X on the stage that you guys can't see, and I think about the person that's the reason that I'm standing right here. And he instead talked to me about the rock that was in my shoe, what was going on in my business that I was struggling with, where I wanted to be. And forever and a day, he will be the person that introduced me to freedom. He introduced me to time freedom, to spend more time with my children, with my husband, with myself. He introduced me to freedom of mindset, to understanding that there's more than one way to skin a cat. You can do real estate in a lot of different ways. And again, guys, forever and a day, that's who he's gonna be. And I remember even talking to him a little bit about what my goals were. like, hey man, I'm so hyped. I'm about to build this YouTube channel. I'm gonna like, attract agents through it. I'm gonna build out some digital coursework. I'm gonna share that with my agents, bring something of value to help them sell more and produce more. Then people are gonna be like, hey, what are y'all doing? And then they're gonna join. Like, I'm all hype about this, right? And I remember having that same conversation with the first, second, or third person that I talked to. And I want you guys to hear what they said to me. They said, that's cute, but that's a distraction. Well, that distraction got me 150 FLAs, #petty. But I want you guys to think about that. And I challenge you to think about coming from that perspective as you're sharing this opportunity with people that may be interested in needing your help. Because guys, like Jay Kinder said yesterday, they're not interested in changing brokerages, they're interested in solving a problem. And if you don't take the time to figure that out, if you spend all of your time trying to get them instead of trying to get them, you ain't gonna get them. Okay? So, I wanna talk and move over from the personal side and the people side of this to the practical side. So once you've gotten that down, right? Like you're talking to people, you're figuring out their problems, you're providing solutions through EXP, through your revenue share group, through your network, then you gotta figure out what you're gonna do with them from there. So for me, I'm a very visual person. I'm one of those people that if I ask you directions and you're like, well, go up the street 2 miles and then go west on Main Street. I'm like, where's the Popeyes chicken and the pink building that I need to turn at? Like that's how I'm visual. I need to know how to get places. So that's what I had to do with my business. And I think that a lot of you will find that if you treat your revenue share group and you treat your organization like it's a retail store, pretend like you have signed a $3,000 lease and rent is due on the 1st. And if that was the case, I don't think that you would struggle so much with what you need to do next. So that's what I did. I said, okay, I gotta visualize this. This is a store. And so that's what I did. And so how do you build this thing out? So where do you start? So of course, you've got to create brand, your brand profile, your target client, come up with a unique value proposition. And ultimately, your store needs a sign, right? Who has a store without a sign? So I remember joining, and I'm in Jay Kinder's downline, and they're called the Honey Badgers, Honey Badger Nation. And I was like, I want to do what he's doing. So if I want to emulate him, I need to emulate him. So I was like, he's got honey badgers, I got money badgers. So that's what I did. I created a logo, I created a brand, I created colors, I created a unique value proposition, but more importantly, I created a storefront. So after I've created this brand and a destination for the agents to go, then I created an actual destination, a place that the agents could go for training, for onboarding. And so I'm gonna show you guys this in this slide. If you guys could play this for me real quick.
And this is our Money Badger Revenue Share Group training library. It's almost our storefront, a destination for agents to come when they have questions. It walks them through the onboarding process, includes external links that takes them right to a lot of EXP resources, tools, things like that. It actually also has an agent directory for all of the agents that are within our revenue share group. They like to get in touch with each other. They have referrals to pass along. And then we also have vendor partners in here. So they need a graphic designer to help create their brand. We have branding packages at a discount for them, things like that. So it is literally a storefront, a centralized location that I can point them to whenever they have questions. And we also can track their progress that they've come in here so it can be used as an accountability tool.
So I created a destination. I created a storefront. So now it's not just like, all right, you're on, so go in the workplace, have fun, right? While all of those resources are good, it's really good to treat it like a store and create a destination, whatever that may look like for you. It may not be as intricate as my training library, but create something for your organization where you guys can all meet, utilize the EXP suites, whatever it is, make sure that you are creating that destination. So then the second thing is building by empowering. So here lately, I've been listening to this coach, Coach Burt. Guys, he's phenomenal. I absolutely love this guy. And so he's provided some clarity for some things that I didn't even understand that I was doing. And something that he says is if you're building a company or an organization, then the quickest and most efficient way for you to do that is to help the people that are underneath you leverage their strengths to make money in this business. And so ultimately, that's what you guys are gonna need to do. So again, this is another practical tip with the people that you're bringing in. Guys, don't just bring them in and say EXP is a great place. Say, hey, what are you good at? Good at photography? Let's figure out how we can use photography and leverage photography for you to up your production business and also attract agents. Oh, you're good at coaching? Let's figure out what you can do with that. Oh, you're good at shopping? You need to be in some closets, shooting some videos of closets, you know? Like really teaching people how to leverage their talents and their strengths to one-up their business. And so, you know, encouraging them to lead trainings, asking them about their strengths and expertise, and helping them coordinate classes and events, and teaching them to duplicate processes and systems in order to build out a strong community and ultimately grow. So empowering agents is really big. And so I have a couple of tried and true money badgers. Mina is one. She's you know, a social media influencer. Some of you guys may even follow her. She recently just got an HGTV show that's shooting. But more importantly, she does really well with these homebuyer events. So now, guys, we've talked about how she can leverage how she's putting those events together, share that with other agents, you know, teach classes on that, and her revenue share group is growing. Sasha, you know, he is a tech ninja is what he calls himself. He tries out all of the latest and greatest real estate technology. He does reviews, he teaches classes to us. And so again, agents that are more attracted to the technology side of the business are drawn to him. Shalina, she's in our group, and she was a productivity coach with another brokerage that starts with a K and ends with a W. And and so she's our accountability girl. You know, that's who people go to when they need to be, you know, they need a fire to be lit, they need some accountability, be told to show up. Shalina's that girl. So these agents are tapping into their strengths to ultimately help build out our entire organization. So growing through empowering agents is probably the quickest way that you can go from A to Z. And so then these are just a couple of quick graphics of some things that they've done in duplicating also what I do. So Sasha, if you see the white, black, and red section, he built out a training library similar to mine that when agents join underneath him, he has all of this stuff about different systems and software. So he's emulating that. I have a private Facebook group. Amina has started her own, which is the Boss Badger. So now we got Honey Badgers, Money Badgers, Boss Badgers, like who's next? So it's a really, really cool thing to empower agents to kind of continue building on their strengths. And then the last thing is retention. So guys, as we bring people in, it is our responsibility to not only bring them in, but to retain them and optimize them, help them grow and stay with us. And so I did a little survey on some agents that had previously left my independent brokerage before I came over to EXP, and then a couple of agents that actually left my revenue share group. And I asked them why they left. The overwhelming majority said because they did not feel like they had a sense of community. And this was when I first started my revenue share group, which is what kind of really got the wheel spinning on how I approached this. And so they were happy with training, they were happy with resources, they were happy with the brokerage, but they said they felt like they were on an island. They didn't know where to go. They just didn't feel like they had anyone behind them. So building out that sense of community, I think it was Bill Price yesterday, the first speaker, that said, you know, they go, you know, whitewater rafting and they have happy hours. Guys, create some sort of community, whether it's online, a private Facebook group, and then more importantly, events. Do, you know, rewards and recognition. We've started, you know, if people bring someone into the group, welcome to the squad. We're blasting it all over the place. If you're a top producer for volume or for transactions, like we're blasting it all over the place. So create a sense of community. And then again, with the events, that is the biggest one. So we did something really, really cool, and we started doing masterminds just with my revenue share group. And so I have a quick video here that I want to show you guys of one that we did, our very first one. It was amazing. And what it did was it really connected the agents. Instead of them simply relying on leadership, they now understand each other's strengths and they rely on each other. And it was a beautiful thing to see. And so if you guys could play a little bit of this clip for me.
I am so hyped right now. I am sitting here at the spot of our first, the inaugural Money Badger Mastermind. We're set to do these 3 times a year. And I don't know if your brokerage is doing this or your team is doing this, but if not, you need to be reaching out to us because this is how we roll over at eXp Realty with the Money Badgers group. We get together, we collaborate, we mastermind, we put things into action, which is the name of this event, the Accelerated Action Event. And we've got a big group of agents that are coming together. We're lead generating. We're talking about different things that we're doing with our businesses to get them going and make money. So come check us out.
All eyes on the way I vibe when I walk into the room. Wind blows underneath the soles of my brand new pair of shoes.
So again, that was a really cool event that we put together. We broke the group up. People went out in the field. They were doing all different types of lead generating activities, prospecting. It was really, really cool, but it really created a sense of community more than anything. So, and just wrapping up, again, guys, remember there's two aspects to this. You're gonna have the personal side and you're gonna have the practical side. And who are you in someone's story on that personal side? I want to thank all of you guys for being a huge part of my story now. Like, this is the biggest stage I've ever spoken in front of, and so this is amazing that you guys are a part of my story. But again, I challenge you, thank you, but again, I challenge you to think about who you are in someone's story, and do you want to be agent 1, 2, or 3 that they didn't align with because you didn't try to get them, you just tried to get them? Or do you want to be that agent that ultimately changes their life and has introduced them to freedom? And so I want to say a big thank you to Nick Good for introducing me to this opportunity, introducing me to freedom, and being that agent in my life that has changed my story. Thanks so much, EXP.